Hi everyone. Can everyone hear me right now? Okay, that's great. Um, oops. Okay, so while we're still waiting for some of the students, maybe I'll just first thank all of you taking these courses, and also maybe I'll talk a little bit about the courtesy issue. So I guess right now we're all in a very hard time. I guess uh, the first thing is that when you entering the classroom, make sure that you turn off your video because we want to make sure that the connection will be best for everyone. And also to protect our classroom, we set the passport, and you do need to remember the passport, but it will be the same every time. So it will basically just 1023 and 2037. So I noticed there's a couple of questions about the textbook. So I'll get back to that later, okay? All right, so now I guess most of you are already here, so I'm going to share my screen. All right, so as you can see that in this lecture, I'm going to break into two parts. In the first part, I'm going to give a very brief introduction of what this course looks like, which will help you to decide whether you're going to take this course or not. And in the second part, we are going to deal with the two most important concepts that we are going to deal with the whole course, which is the statistics and the data. So I guess in the beginning, maybe I need to do a self-introduction. So my name is pronounced like Qi Huang Zhang, but you can just call me Qi Huang, that's fine. And so I'm recent graduate PhD student from University of Waterloo, and I'm very happy to join the University of Western Ontario. And I guess at beginning, I would like to share my personal story, which is very linked to this course. So I guess in 2016, I was a research intern in the Princess Margaret Hospital. And if you are very familiar with the map of Toronto, then you will know that the Princess Margaret Hospital is basically located on the University Street. And in this hospital, I got the opportunity to collaborate with a lot of nice doctors and clinicians. And at the beginning, I was actually quite worried. I'm kind of worried that because I'm a statistic person, and I was wondering that if I communicate with them, whether they can understand me correctly, because there's a lot of statistical terminology which sounds quite fancy, uh, but it turns out that I just thought too much about that, and they took it pretty well. And I was really surprised about that actually, because that's definitely different from what I thought. So I asked them, how did you learn from those concepts? And it turns out that it seems that all of them has a very systematic training about those statistical concepts. And they might not understand uh, specifically what's the mathematic reasoning behind it, but they at least know what this concept is about. And they can even give a lot of useful comments when we propose some statistical models. So I guess that's what this course is about. That is, we hope that this course will help you to gain more understanding about the statistic itself, as well as how to communicate with others in a statistical way. And the most important thing is that you can gain the statistical thinking. So as you may have already noticed, this course will be delivered in a blended way. So what that means is that we will have two main components. The first one is basically face-to-face, which is what we are doing right now. And another part will be entirely independent. It could be a video or some other learning materials. So for both of these methods, they have their pros and cons. For example, for the face-to-face, the advantage is that we can have instant feedback. So if you have any question, you can just feel free to type that in the chat, because I will check the chat now and then. And so basically the chat box is located in the bottom of the Zoom. So if you have any question, just feel free to type there. And when I see that, I will try to answer the question. And also, we design a lot of in-class activities so that we can help you to better understanding these statistical concepts. And from my point of view, I think to learn the statistic concepts, if you just want to memorize those concepts, you probably will end up with good grades or good assessment results. But you might not really understand the reasoning behind those concepts. And what this course is really about is that to really help you to understand the meaning behind the words, behind the concepts. So that's the goal we want to achieve. So for that reason, I really wish you can participate in the in-class activities. But of course, I will not force you to, because all of these in-class activities, they are not being graded and they will not be taken into account to the final exams. Okay, so basically for this lecture, it will be from 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. But as you know, usually when we are in the classrooms, we will allow the lecture will be end a little bit earlier so that you can switch the classroom. So I guess we adopt the same fashion as we change into online. So basically the class time will be from 1:30 to 2:20, I think. And for the independent materials, we designed the 1 hour. We approximately assume that it will take 1 hour to learning from those independent materials. So the benefit of doing that is that, first of all, it provides a lot of flexibility so that you can feel free to pause and to watch it again when you feel confused about something. And also, what is more important is that it's time zone friendly, because right now probably you guys are in all over the world and in the different time zones. So this way definitely will help you to understand the learning material better. And also, I guess this independent material is a very good chance to help you to practice your self-learning skill. I guess this is the most important skill as I think when you entering the campus, because for a lot of times the professor probably just offer you some learning materials and then you have to learn it by your own. So I guess I need to give more clarification about the lecture. So, so for the Zoom meeting like this, it will be from 1:30 to 2:20 for every Tuesday. So it's fixed, the time is fixed. But for the independent materials, the posting time could be could vary. But usually I will post it right after we have the lecture. So you can take a look at our webpage to see whether there's any update about that. So where we are is basically in between. We're trying to combine both so that we don't want to move too forward to independent, because that will have a really bad teaching outcome, but we still want to provide you some flexibility. So that's where we are. Okay. I guess another interesting problem or question you might ask that is this course really suitable for you, especially for those who this course are not mandatory for them, and they might be wondering whether they should take this course or not. So I would say the expectation of this course is like, first of all, we only have a very minimum requirements of mathematics. So it might be a release for some of the students, but for some others, they probably want to learn more about the mathematic formulation as well as the derivation. So for that case, I guess this course is not suitable for them because there's a even more suitable course called the probability and statistics. And also, as nowadays, I guess coding is a very important skill. So I guess in the future, probably when you're trying to find a job or find an internship, at least for most of the job posting, they require you to at least know the coding for one coding language. But in this course, we're not really going to working on that. So I would say in this course, we will have no coding about statistics. So if you are interested in the statistical programming, there's another course which is more suitable for you. So any questions so far? I will just quickly look at the chat box to see whether there's any question. Okay, you are setting up the group. That's awesome. All right. I guess no questions so far. So, so just now I just mentioned who shouldn't take this course. So then, what this course is really about, and who should really take this course? So I guess the take-home message is that this course is mainly about the interpretation, evaluation, instead of produce the results. So basically, that means we only look at the fundamental vocabularies, which is associated with the statistics. And also, we will help you to interpret some useful information, like from a graph or from some numerical results. And that's all we expect you in this course. And of course, we hope that you will understand some basic concepts about statistics, like probability and randomness and average. And also, one important goal of this course is that we hope that in the future, when you see a news, especially nowadays for the COVID-19 situation, there's a lot of fake news, but this fake news is so hard to notice that because they are packaged so well. They use certain fancy statistical model and to tell you the something. But in fact, the model they use is incorrect or their assumption is totally wrong. So I guess the point of this course is also help you to understand that once you notice some kind of news or media posting results like that, you will understand that, okay, they could be wrong and there could be the result could be not making any sense. So the final goal, I guess, will be help you to gain the critical thinking. Basically, once we give you a news or give you certain study, you will understand what they are doing. And also you can give some comments or recommendations about what they are doing. So I guess that's the whole point of this course. So to better help you to understand the expectation, here is a model to help you to see where we are. So basically, I would say we are only on the first two stages. So basically, we'll remember the facts as well as the concepts that associate with the statistics. And also, we hope that you can understand when other people talking about some statistic concepts, and you will know like what they are talking about. And we will only get a little bit about application, and we will not go upward anymore. So we will just stop here. So that's pretty much this course about. Any questions so far? Okay, yes, this course will be recorded and I will post it afterwards. I will post it the recording afterwards. This course is, oh, sorry, this course is 2 hours. It should be one, if I made it wrong, I'm sorry. It should be 1:30 to 1:30 to 3:20. Sorry about that. It should be 2 hours. I guess I got that wrong. Yeah, thanks for noticing me that. Any other question? Yeah, the course is 2 hours. So, as you might see, what's the expectation that we have for you on this course? Then, what can we help you to better understand the statistic concepts and better understand how to learn this course? So, in the face-to-face lecture, it will be 2 hours. I need to reiterate. Also, I would like to emphasize that this lecture is not a tutorial, although you probably see that word from your online website or in the schedule, but that's for administrative purpose. But this lecture will deliver the most important materials of this course. So I wish you will not miss the materials for this lecture. But of course, this lecture will be recorded and I will upload the recording afterwards when the video is finished. So by that means, I'm not forced you to participate in the activities, but I really recommend you to because that's the point of studying the statistical concepts in this course. And there's a question about why we are combining 1023 and 2037. So I would say for this course, although we have a cross list for two different level, but the materials will be the same. It's just like some is like one the level started with one is coming from the one department and start with Turner is coming from the second department. And does iClicker count for marks? No. So all of the in-class assessment will not, so there's no in-class assessment as I notice here. So there's the point of iClicker is just to help you to engage with the materials we have because we basically just watching the video right now. So if we don't have interaction, then probably it's pointless to me. So I guess I'm trying to help you to enjoy taking this lecture and also getting more engaged with the materials we have and also give you some chance to interact with the other students. I guess that's the point that we design these activities. So that's why we will have group applications and discussion, and we will have one discussion today later on. So so the point of iClicker is basically just collect the information from you, and for example, we will do some major decision for the administrative purpose, and we will also collect the answer from you to see what's your understanding of the concepts, and you can also compare your understanding with the other students. So I guess the first action you have to do is that after this lecture, you're going to set up your iClicker account, and you can watch the video about how to set up your iClicker. And this video is already posted on the website, and I believe it is under the first lecture. So you just click the first lecture, and then you can watch the video. And finally, I need to emphasize that this lecture will be recorded, as well as the group chat. It will be also recorded. So that means just pay attention to the language that you use in the group chat. Okay, there's some question about assessment that I'm going to talk about it later. And do we do iClicker before we join the Zoom class? Yes, we do need to do that in the following lectures, but this lecture is fine. So that's why I hope that you can set up your iClicker after this lecture, and then in the future lecture that you can directly log into your account and then join our Zoom class. All right. Yeah, I might able to see the private message. So if you send the message to me, then I will see that. But if you send a private message to other people, then that's fine. All right, so this is pretty much about the face-to-face lecture. Do you guys have any other question? So I will talk about the lecture video quizzes later. Okay, right. So I just talked about the first component, which is the face-to-face material. And then what about the independent materials? So first, I would like to emphasize that the independent material is as important as our lecture, because they are the materials that could be serve as the supplement of our lectures. And it could be related to our lecture, and it could also unrelated to our lecture. But you can take your time and based on your pace to watch the videos. So I will not to check you whether you watch the video or not, but we do have this after video quiz to help you to see whether you really engaged with our independent materials. So for each independent materials, we will post the so-called the after video quizzes. So this is quizzes. It's not actually not really quizzes because they are really simple. So they just a multiple choice question, and the answer probably really obvious after you watch the video, or some uh, some of the question could be really simple for you to answer. So you don't need to really worry about that. So the point of the after video quiz is that we hope you really engage with the independent materials. So we also allow the discussion, so you can check your answer with your peer students. And but I need to mention that these quizzes will be scored. And the deadline for the quiz will before the midterms, because I want to make sure that right before the midterms, you already have all of the videos watched and you already get prepared to the midterms. So I guess the point of the after video quizzes is not really want to assess you, but just trying to help you to engage with the video. All right, so I guess for the example purpose, in our second action, I ask you to finish our first quiz of the video, set up the iClicker. So this quiz is very, very, very simple. It's not a quiz, it's a survey. So this is just for exemplary purpose. So yeah, any question right now for the independent part? All right. I guess nobody please. All right. I guess nobody has question right now. So besides the lecture as well as the independent materials, then what other resources that we can help you to understand the materials? So first of all, I'm trying to be accessible as possible. So I designed the office hour appointment system, and you may find this office hour appointment system in our website, and you just right after the instructor information, you just book the appointment here. So my office hour is Monday 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. So that time is directly observed for you guys. So just feel free to reach me. And sometimes you might be maybe this time is not works for you, uh, then you can send me a message, and we'll figure out how we can talk find another time to talk. So what is the appointment system looks like? So if you click this one, and so you will get some kind of calendar like this, and then you just pick the date that you prefer, and you will get an option. So it's a 20 minutes interval, but you definitely can take longer. So you can select multiple one, I believe. And after you select, then you just click confirm and just leave your name and your email so that I know like who I'm going to uh, talk with. So that's about the office hour appointment system, right? Okay, so another important learning resources will be our discussion forum. So this discussion forum is located on all, and I actually noticed that some of you already start to use this forum. I'm very happy about that because just trying to make use of these resources. And I really wish that we can create a very nice community for this course. So if you have any question about either about administrative or about the specific material or about the assessment or about some other student to student talk, then you can just feel free to post your question on the forum. So there's a question following that. Are there participation marks for the discussion forum? No. So there's no, I won't force you to do that because, you know, some people are quite outgoing. Some people prefer like figure out things on their own. So I won't force you to do that. So, but I really wish that you can use this forum uh, as a channel that you can discuss with each other. And I'm very happy to answer questions for you. And by the way, because for this course, we have 5 TAs. And so each TAs will be responsible for 1 day in a week. And so they will basically monitor this forum. And once you have a question, and if they can figure out, they will quickly answer your question. So I hope that that in that fashion that we can have a better communication since we are all online right now. So I guess the communication part is very important. Any question? Is there a quiz after every weekly video? Yes, this quiz is weekly. So just look at the lecture pages. So I believe just go to the lecture pages. I believe there will be a certain survey over there. All right, any other question about the discussion forum? Let me scroll up a little bit to see if I miss any question. Okay. All right, then the next resource will be about the practice question. So I noticed in the forum, some students ask about the question about practice question. So I will, for each lecture, I will post a practice question for you to help you to assess yourself whether you understand the material correct or not. And also, I will say the practice question is really related to your midterms and your finals. So they are really helpful and useful resources. And don't forget to go over the practice question after you're taking the lectures. And I guess the last resource that I do need to mention that Google is a really important resource to help you to study, especially for independent study, because right now you might not able to have a very sufficient communication with other people, but sometimes Google can solve a lot of problems. I guess so. I'm very encouraged to or encourage you to Google the questions that you want to ask before you really ask other people. So I guess sometimes you will find that Google can even provide you an even broader scope of the of your answers. Are the practice questions from the textbook or separate? So some of the practice question could be overlapped with the textbook, but some others won't comes from textbook. Some other question will be completely new. So it's created by me. So it won't be appeared in any textbook. So yeah, so since we are talking about textbook, that's exactly what I'm trying to talk about. So as you see in the O, that I recommend a textbook, and I also send you the email that I really not require you to buy this textbook. So the reason is that from my point of view, I am a big fan of open access because I believe that the uh, the pricey books shouldn't be the barrier for sharing the knowledge. So that's why I don't think it's necessary to force you to buy textbook and to force you to learn the materials on a textbook. So I will guarantee that all the materials that I posted online will be at least sufficient for the assessment and sufficient for your learning. So any question about textbook right now? So are all the necessary practice questions posted? So I mean, all of the materials that I posted, they are all necessary. So I guess you can just if you just go with all of our online materials, you're probably just fine. So there's not really necessary to buy the textbook. Um, and I have to say, I cannot share with you the textbook because of the copyright, although I want, but you probably could find it somewhere. Yes, so the question is, if I don't get the textbook, I won't be missing out. Yes, you won't missing out anything. All right. So finally, I will spend some time to talk about the assessment. So as you see that there is a tiny component about the video quizzes. So basically that's very simple question. I believe all of you can get the full mark about this part. Um, but just I hope you won't miss the deadline. That's the only thing that I need to remind you. So the deadline will be the right before the midterm. So we have 3 midterms, and so for example, in the first midterms, then the previous day will be the deadline for all of the after video quizzes posted before that posted before the midterm. Okay. Any other question about the video quizzes? Okay, then about the assignment. So we are going to have 4 assignments. So for each assignment, there will be only 1 question. So basically, or 1 or 2 questions. But I would say you still need to spend time because that 1 question could be a case study that you need to read some materials and you need to do some analysis. So for the assignments, although there's just 1 question or 1 or 2 questions, but you still need to spend some time on that. And I guess on the O, I already posted the deadline for the assignment, so you can refer to that probably later. Okay, then I will talk about the midterm and the final exam. So we have 3 midterms, and right now we are not sure about the detail about the how exactly our midterm will be taking place. But right now our planning is like that. So for the first 2 midterms, it will be held in a very flexible way. So basically, we will find 8 hours interval. So say from 9 a.m. To probably afternoon, say 3 p.m. So in this interval, you can find any 50 minutes interval to do this midterm. So any time is fine. So in that case, that could cause a concern about the integrity. So in that case, first of all, I would say it's it's really important for you to really show your integrity. That we really hope that in this, at least in this class community, that everybody is honest to the others. So we really hope that nobody nobody will cheat. And also for the midterms as well as finals, they are all gonna be proctored. So we are going to use the app called ProctorTrack, and I'm going to get to the detail about this ProctorTrack later. So for the Proctor, that means you have to use a laptop instead of using your iPad, tablet, or mobile phone to do the assessment. And also you need to make sure that your laptop has a camera on that. So the front camera is probably fine. And also the midterms will be completely multiple choice questions. So I guess for the multiple choice questions, as well as the fill in the blank questions, it probably be very easy to cheat. But we will try to switch the order of the question. So each of you will see a little bit different questions in a different order. And also the options in the questions will also be, you will also be we will also change the order in the options of the questions. So definitely it's really unwise to share your answer directly. So that's my point. And also all of the exams, they will be open book which means you can use all of the information that I provide, and you can use Google, that's fine. And it's just that you cannot use you cannot use Facebook to share your answer with other students. And so that's the only thing. So now I guess it's time to answer some questions. Let me see. So when you say exam or open book, is that a final exam or the midterm? So it's for both. So all of the exams will be open book. And how long in the advance we will know about the assignment? So usually about 2 weeks prior to the deadline. Are midterms exam cumulative? So what do you mean cumulative? Do you mean the content is cumulative, or you mean the score is cumulative? So basically for the midterms, the content won't be cumulated. So for example, the first midterm will be the first few chapters, and the second midterms, we won't include the chapters that already appeared in the first midterm. But for the final, it will be mixed. So all of the materials could be appeared in the final exam. But of course, we will shift more weights on the last few chapters that haven't been covered in any midterm yet. Is the midterm also open book and multiple choice? Yeah, midterm is also open book. And so for all of the exams, including the midterms and the final exams, they are all in multiple choices question or in the filling the blank question. Yeah, any other question? Okay. Yeah, I guess that's the question about the assessment. Then we are going to take a break. So we are going to take a 10 minutes break. So feel free to use this time to stretch yourself or drink some water. And we will come back at 10 minutes later, which is 10:22. And right now, I will still answer questions if you have any question. And after the break, we are going to start our courses about the statistic concepts. What part of China I am from? I'm from the hometown of pandas. So it's southwestern part of the China. It's actually the Sichuan province. I'm not sure whether you heard of that, but you probably um, take the Kung Pao chicken. Yeah, so that's the, okay, question about the final exam cumulative in content. Yes, the final exam will be cumulative in content. So it covers all of the contents that we covered, but we will just shift more weights on the last few chapters. Are the lecture slides going to be posted in advance so we can follow along during? If you like, sure, I can do that. I can post it, but I probably cannot post it too early. I would say I can probably post it on the morning on each Tuesday so that you can download that, download the slides so that you can go over with. Aside from videos, will you be posting your PowerPoint PDFs? Yes, I will post that. I actually leave a room in the online pages, and I just didn't post it yet, but I will do it later. Yeah, I guess there's a couple of questions about the lecture slides. And how's Waterloo? I guess Waterloo is fine. Um, I guess, uh, but how do you know I'm in Waterloo right now? I thought you will thought I'm already in London. Is there an independent portion for this week? The independent portion for this week is I already posted, which is the watching the video of setting your iClicker account. So it's super simple. I guess that's just an example of how we're going to go over the independent materials. Are there practice questions to prepare for exams and assessment? Uh, yes. So for each lecture, I will post the practice questions, and some lecture could have really long practice questions, but some could only have very few. So all of them could be related to your midterms. So I will say definitely you will get benefit from doing those practice questions. They will be really helpful. And also, if you have question about the practice question, just feel free to post it on the forum. So the final exam is cumulative with regards to the info. Um, what do you mean by info? So the final exam just it will cover everything that we already covered in the course. Will you have a practice exams? What do you mean by practice exam? Do you mean uh, like we set up another exams to help you to set up everything? Is that what you mean? Are there slides for this week to review online? Yes, I will post the slides online later. Will you check the attendance of the Zoom class? I will check the attendance, but I just, but I definitely won't grade that. So you won't miss, you won't lose anything if you don't take the course. It's just that we hope that you can join us. We don't want to lose you, since some people can only see the recorded one. Right, right. So I guess that's the point of we record the lecture, that we don't want to, some people, especially in the other time zone, to miss the lecture. I guess in some region, probably it's unfair for them to like stay up very late. So I guess so that's the reason that I won't force everybody to come to the Zoom meeting. But I do hope that, because that's important component of this course, and that's the point of this course. So there's a question about are the assessment only based on the lecture content or also readings? So it will only based on the lecture contents. So that's why I won't require you to read the book. So we have 3 midterms and a final exams, and before all 3 midterms, we will have a small quiz. No. Maybe I need to explain that a little bit again. So the video quizzes is a flexible quiz. You can take it anytime before the midterm. So the quiz is not really quiz. It's just it probably only have one question, and you can attempt it for multiple times. And also, you are allowed to share your answer with others. So it's not a really quiz. So I guess the main assessment will be the assignments as well as the those exams. So if you count the final exam, I would say we have 4 exams and 4 assignments. So I guess those are the main assessment. Okay, I guess we still have a couple of minutes for taking a break. Okay, so before we start our the second half of the lectures, there's a couple of more questions. So out of all the attempts, so I think this question is about the video quizzes. So out of the attempts, um, do you take the best mark or the first attempt mark? So we will take the best mark. So you don't need to worry about that. So the quiz itself is also very easy. So just don't panic about that. All right. So okay, I hope everyone is getting back to the seats, and let's start to talk about our main content today. So I guess in the previous 50 minutes, I have been talking a lot about the word statistics. Then a question might coming up is that what exactly is the statistic? And if you look this word in a dictionary, then you will get a really long definitions for this word. And however, if you trying to put it into a nutshell, what it means is actually just doing two things. So first of all, what we are doing is just to make conclusions or make decisions. And of course, we can not just make conclusions without the information that we have. So we need to use the information from the data. So the two components of describing the statistic is basically, first of all, we are making conclusions. And secondly, we're going to use data information. So in the later on, I'm going to get back to explaining what is data. So first, I'm trying to help you to understand what is the statistical thinking help us to make these conclusions. So in the following part, I will get you into this discussion activities. So maybe I need to explain this activity first. So we're going to have 10 minutes discussion, and I'm going to break you into small rooms. So you will be randomly allocated into certain small rooms. And each room probably has 5 to 6 person, for 5 to 6 people. And you guys will discuss the problem that I'm going to show you. So I hope for the 10 minutes, probably in the first 2 minutes, you can get an ice breaking with each other to introduce yourself and what year you are in, what's your major, and then you can start to discuss this problem. And again, I won't force you to participate in this discussion if you really don't want. So after I click the button, you will see a window that's showing that it's an invitation that to allow you to get into another small rooms. And if you click cancel, then you will jump back to the main room, and you probably have to stare this empty pages for another 10 minutes. But I do hope you can participate in these activities. And also during the discussion, although you won't have to, but I hope you can open your camera so that you can have a less distance between each other. And also I'm going to jump back between the rooms to check whether you're on the right track or not. So, okay, I guess any question about this activity so far? I haven't showed the main content yet, but is there any question about how we're going to deal with this discussion activities? Because this is the first time, because we probably will have more. So I hope that you will fully understand what we are doing right now. Okay, since there's no question, then I'll show you the statement that we are having right now. So as we all know, the Prime Minister of Britain, the Churchill, he is a really active smoker, but still he lives 91. And the second thing is that the Princess Margaret, she is also a smoker, but very fortunately, he is still live very long. And for the King Edward, he is also a very active smoke. So, but still, he lived 79 years old. So now comes the two statement. The first statement is that, does these three examples means smoking would not affect the life expectancy? And the second statement is that if smoking shortens the expectancy, then how come they live relatively longer than many people at that time? So I guess I'll first let you 1 to 2 minutes to read this statement, and then I'm going to assign you into the small rooms so that you can discuss with each other. Any question about the question though? How do we join a separate chats? Good question. So I'm going to send you the link, but you haven't seen it right now. But you're going to see a windows pop up that will asking you to join another rooms. So once you click join, then you will go to another room. And also, after you finish the discussion, don't forget to click the leave room in the bottom right of the Zoom so that you can jump back to our planetary. All right, now I'm going to assign you to small break rooms. And I hope this is also a nice chance for you to get to know each other. Okay, so right now you should see a windows pop up to invite you into the break zone. And I hope that you can open your camera and say hi to each other.
Hi, could you share the link again? I accidentally left the break room.
Oh, so what's your name again?
I'm Jenna Cotman.
Okay. Oh, I see you.
Yeah. I was in 19.
Yeah, I'll move it. Probably I'll assign you to 18.
Oh, okay.
Hi everyone.
Oh, hi.
Hi. Any question or any help? Do you need any help?
I think we're
You're
just
fine
getting
with it?
started, but I think
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
but
I just muted myself.
no worries. But when we jumped into the break room, like because we don't have access to your PowerPoints, like the question disappeared.
Oh, right. Oh, right. That's a really good question.
Maybe if you could just post it in the chat group.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll do that right now. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, just go ahead. I'll leave the break
Hello, is anyone here? You're on mute. Sorry, I can't hear you.
So I think you are in the main room. So I need to assign you to. main
Oh,
room.
okay.
Let's see. So what's your name? So do you know which room you were in?
Yeah, I
Can-
was
can
in
you-
19, I think.
So Jenna, right?
Yeah.
Jenna. So you was in 19.
hmm I went to it and then nothing was happening, so I came back and now I can't go back.
Oh. Can you say a link right now?
No,
Still?
no, yeah.
So are you using the website to or you are using the app?
I'm on the app. Like I saw the link pop up the first time and I clicked on it and then there was nothing there, so I went back to this group.
Okay. Is it possible for you to like log out and log in back to see whether there's something?
Yeah, should I leave
Because
this and join
yeah,
again?
because I assigned you to a couple of times, but it seems doesn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'll leave this group and come right back.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Hi.
Hi, I'll assign you again.
Okay. Yeah, I got it. Okay, thank
You got
you.
it? Great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. Hi, Professor. We don't really know what else to talk about.
Okay. Yeah, you can just click leave room and jump
Okay.
back to the.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Okay. Well, it was nice to talk to you guys.
To meet you all.
So just so you know, the break room will be closed in 1 minute. All right. I believe everybody is back here now. Okay. So is there any volunteer who would like to share like what's your finding or what's your thoughts about this question? You can just unmute yourself and just talk. That's fine.
Well, what my group and I kind of talked about was that it was just 3 cases that, like for the data set. I don't know if that's the right language, but it seemed like there should have been a lot more, like numbers of like more individuals that they could research, and maybe from a more diverse crowd of people.
Very good point. Yeah. Any other thoughts? The very good point.
Yeah, I would like to add something. My group and I actually discussed like other external factors that weren't taken into consideration. So like, for instance, like their genetics or like, family history of illness, and the fact that 2 of them are royalty, they're probably getting like special treatment and eating the best food and being really taken care of, I guess. So that might have helped with their life expectancy. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Very good point. Yeah.
If
I
I
guess.
could add,
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah. Just.
I'd also say like if I could that there wasn't enough like material, like we didn't know when they started smoking, we didn't know the amount that they smoke per day, and I feel like that can add a really important factor into their life expectancy.
Exactly. Yeah. Very good point. So I guess these discussions are for the first statement, which is that smoking. So that which is whether we can say the smoking won't affect life expectancy based on these examples. So another statement is that if we acknowledge that, yeah, we know that smoking shortens the life expectancy, then how come they don't really longer? I mean, then how come they live longer than many other people? Any thoughts on that aspect?
Yeah, it didn't talk about like what their life expectancy would be otherwise. So it could have actually shortened their life expectancy. Like they could have lived to 100 if they wouldn't be smokers.
Yeah, right. Very good point.
Yeah, so it could still be true.
Yeah.
Also, sorry to cut in. Building on that, it also depends. The sample was too small to make a decision upon. So I feel that it also depends on genetics, because some people could be equipped to, some people would only make it to maybe 40 or 50 while smoking, whereas some people might make 70, and they could have made it even more beyond, but then again, smoking cuts their life expectancy in that sense.
Oh, yeah, that's really nice reasoning. Yeah, I'm very surprised that I think you actually already wrap up the answer that I want to share. So are you seeing me right now or my screen right now? Because I'm not sure. Maybe
I can see you.
Can you see the screen right now? Oh, right now, right? Okay. So yeah, I guess we had a very nice discussion about the example, and I'm very happy that I think most of you guys already know like statistic thinking is. I think like Jacob mentioned about the sample size, and some other student mentioned like there's other factors, and they are exactly statistic thinking about. So for the first statement, that does those example implies that smoking would not affect life expectancy? So first of all, from a statistician point of view, we never talk about individual level. So we won't look at this example, just look at themselves, but instead we want to look like from a big picture, like from the whole population. So when I see this statement first, I was like, wow, only 3 samples to indicate the conclusion. And that's too careless for a statistician. So for statistician, you have to make sure that you will have enough sample size to make conclusion. Otherwise, other people will judge you that you didn't use enough information to justify your statement. And like some other student mentioned, like there could be other factors that also influencing the results. For example, in our examples, we just choose the two people from royal family. Like someone already mentioned, like there could be genetic information issue, and they also could be some healthcare problem. So in that case, the comparison itself, is it fair? It's not fair, because we do sample the individuals from the individual group that can fit in favorable of our conclusions. So our sampling regime itself is biased. So that's the problem, and what's the relating statistical thinking of this problem. And for the second statement, so if he already acknowledged that smoking will shorten the life expectancy, then how come they live relatively longer than many people by then? So actually, this statement is taken from Quora. So I'm very happy that people brought this into discussion. So I guess the problem that they didn't realize is that for statisticians, what we talk about is not about yes or no. What we talk about is risk. So what we focus on is the probability itself, rather than the absolute results. So by that means, we are not looking at will this thing happen, but instead we only look at what is probability that this thing is happen. So this is statistical thinking. And also, when we say it has a really high risk for the things to happen, that doesn't imply that it will definitely happen. So these two things are definitely different. And finally, I would like to share with you, like, for a statistician, how would they design their study to solve this problem? So here, I actually lucky to find a study which is really long time ago, which is 1994. And this study taken place in Canada. So what they did is that at 1987, they recruit 2,000 individuals, and 1,000 to be male smokers, and 1,000 to be male non-smokers. And what they did is they followed those people up for another 2 years. And then in 1989, they figured out that over 15% of them from the smoker group developed lung cancer. And over only like 1.5% male non-smokers can develop lung cancer. So that's how we can say that for the smokers, they are more likely to develop lung cancer. So you can see kind of how do statisticians do analysis to do the study. So first of all, they are very careful about the sample they recruit. So you can see that for the comparison, they only recruit the male smokers so that the comparison is fair. So we just talk about male population. So the comparison has nothing to do with the sex and the gender. So that's help us to make the comparison fair. And also, what we talk about is about lung cancer. We don't say life expectancy. We don't say definitely the smoker will live longer or something. We just look at the specific outcome that we are interested in. So from statistical point of view, first, we are trying to make the comparison fair. And also we are very careful for the word or the outcome we are looking at. And also we are comparing those people in a very large population. So we are comparing two different populations instead of just 3 people. So I guess I hope right now you can get a sense of what is the statistical statistical study looks like and how you can adopt this statistical thinking probably in the future study. Okay, so I guess the next question will be, since right now we say that statistic component contains two parts, the making conclusion or making decision, and also the data. Then next question is, what is the data? So data is basically a collection of the numbers and which contains numbers or information. So pay attention that they could be numbers, but they also could be other type of information. So for example, do you believe if I show you these numbers, are they data? Yes or no? Can you type that in the group chat? Just type yes or no. Yeah, I actually I get the answer maybe half right. So actually the answer is yes and no. So when we see a number like this, whether they are data really depends on whether they contain any information. So if we just see the plain words of these numbers and it does not tell anything, then it is not data because it's just numbers and it does not contain any information. However, say for this number, for example, it could be height or it could be weight, then now it contains information. Then in this case, these data, these numbers, we will say they are data. And also, do you believe these should be data? Yes or no? Just type in the group chat. For I got mostly no and some kind of, and some yes and no. Yeah, yeah, I guess everybody start to be cautious right now. Yeah, I think for this case, I would say these are data because or I should say yes and no because if first of all, the blue, green, brown, they do tell us information because these words contain some meaning and tell us they are colors, right? They basically tell us the color of it. So it do contain information. So the only thing is that it's not number, but that's fine because data does not require it to be numbers. So from my point of view, I think blue, green, brown, they are data. And another question is that for imaging, are they data? Type yes or no. So determine whether it's a data or not, you just want to make sure that whether they contain information or not. So basically this image, they can tell us information. And whether it is a numbers or not, it doesn't matter. So because we can transform this image into numbers if we want. So basically this image tells us information. For example, it tell us like what's the functioning of the brain, or well, is there any disease or cancer being spotted in the brain? So basically, this image do contains the information, so we can regard it as data. So right now, I guess you have a good sense of what is data and what is not. Then the next question is, usually we are not just directly look at the data because the data are classified in the multiple classes and they are appeared in a different ways. So in that sense, we usually classify those data into 4 different types according to their special features. So we got nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. So we first talk about nominal. So the features of the nominal is like, for the nominal data, we are able to count the number of the data, or sorry, not the number, but to count the value of the data. And for example, for color, the blue, yellow, red. So just now we all agree that it's data. So as you can see that for this data, they only can take 3 different types. They can only take blue, yellow, red. So we can count how many categories they are. So in this case, these type of data are able to be counted. And also, for each element of this data, are they equal? Or I mean, are they in the same page? So for example, can we say blue is more yellow than red? So we cannot do any comparison on this. So in that sense, we cannot sort this data set. So in this type of data, we will call it nominal. And another very similar type, which is also able to be counted, but the difference is that it can be sorted. So for example, when we give you a happiness survey, so say it could take 5 different results. Could be very happy, mildly happy, no difference, unsatisfied, very unsatisfied. So in this data, can we count? Yes, because there are only 5 types, right? There are only 5 categories. And can we sort them out? And also yes, because we can say that very happy is more happier than mild happy. So in this case, we can directly do the comparison among the categories. So in this type, we would say it is ordinal type of data. And for another type, which can also be ordered, but the difference is that they couldn't be counted. So for example, the temperature. So when we measure the temperature, we measure the what's the degree of the how hot or how cold it is. So we will get the number from this measure. And can we count the number? No, because for example, between 0 and 10 degree, there could be 5 degree, and there could be 3, there could be 1.3, could be 1.233. So the numbers are unlimited. So in this case, the temperature itself should be cannot be counted. So in that case, we will say it is interval data. And also for interval data, it has a very nice property that the distance between those values are meaningful. So for example, we say London right now is 0 degree and Toronto is 10 degree. So if we take the difference, does that meaningful? Yes, because we could say Toronto is 10 degree hotter than London. So they can be directly compared. Now, let's jump back to the last type of the data, which is the racial data. So for racial data, it has all of the features that we have in the interval. So they can be ordered. For example, the height of the Canadian male group, does they have the order? For example, we can say that the male in 2014 is taller than people from 1914. So in this case, we can make order. We can do comparison, and it cannot be counted because it is a continuous variable. And also the distance is also meaningful because we can say that the population height grew 10 centimeters later, 10 years later. So in that case, the comparison is also meaningful. But the only difference for this ratio is that it has an absolute 0 or true 0. So we do expect that there could be zero length or 0 height, although there is not, it is not appeared in the real life, but theoretically that could be happen. But how about temperature? For temperature, we actually have different zero. So for the C measure of the temperature, the 0 point is actually higher than the F measure. So by that means, the choice of 0 is quite subjective. You can define your own 0. I could say 100 degrees is 0. So definitely, there's no real 0 in the interval data. But for the ratio, there is 0 because the 0 height is well defined. So right now, you get a sense of what are different type of the data we have. Then how can you try to make the decision once I give you a data set? So basically, what you need to do is just to ask two questions. So first of all, is it countable? If it is, then let's follow up another question. Is it sortable? Then if it is also, then we could say it's ordinal data. Otherwise, it's nominal data. And for the uncountable data, then we will ask whether it is a true 0 or not. And if there is a true 0, like the height, then we say it's a ratio. Otherwise, like the temperature, there's no, or there's only subjective 0. So in that case, we will say it's an interval. All right. So besides this category or this way to classify our different data, there's another way to classify it, but that is actually very similar to our previous classification. So which is the continuous versus discrete. So for this classification, you only need to ask one question. That is it countable? So if it is countable, like our color, so then in that case, we would say it is a discrete data or categoric data. Sometimes these two concepts are interchangeable, so they have the exactly same meaning. And if it is not countable, like height, then we will say it's a continuous variable or quantitative variable or data. So basically, the discrete data will contain the both ordinal and nominal, and the continuous will also contain the ratio and interval. So they're basically a subset for this new definition. Okay, so now it's time for do some exercise. So in the following part, I'm going to show you some type of the data, and I wish you can tell me whether what type of data it is. So to save your time, let's say nominal type, we will code 1, and ordinal we will code 2, and interval 3, and so on and so forth. So we are going to use the group chat to vote what type of data you believe this is in. And here I also show you this classification tree to help you to classify the data we observe. So right now, I guess everybody can go to the group chat. So the first data we look at is the iron concentration. Is that, what type of data is that, do you believe? Just type the number you believe. Okay, I get mostly 4 and some, a few 2. Okay, I'll do some explanation. So iron concentration, I guess the disagreement will be basically on 2 and 4. So 2 is the ordinal and the ratio. So I guess the disagreement is on whether it's countable. So for iron concentration, because it's the measure like what's the percentage in a solution or in some substance. So in that case, the iron concentration, for example, you can imagine it could be 5% and it could be 2.5%. And it can take any value between those intervals. So in that case, it is not countable because there is infinitely way to count how many types of this iron concentration. So in that case, it is actually ratio because there is a true 0 where if there is a 0 iron concentration, that means we don't have any iron in the substance. All right, let's jump to another one. What about tree species? Tree species, what type of data do you believe in? Just type in the chat. We get 1, 2, 3. Okay, I guess the disagreement will be on the 1 and 2, which is the ordinal data versus nominal. So then the question that we need to ask is that, are they sortable? So for example, we have different trees, like for example, we have apple tree and we have orange tree, and we have a pineapple tree. Is there a pineapple tree? Anyway, so are we able to sort them? Can we say like apple tree is more pineapple tree than say watermelon tree? No, right? So there is no way to order those types. So by that means it should be nominal. So it should be nominal data, because you cannot sort out the order between them. Okay, what about age? Sorry, what about age? Yeah, just a follow-up question. So just now, can we order by family? Yeah, that's actually a very good question. So if you believe that that is not orderable, then that is definitely nominal data. But for some type of the study, for example, we can say like for example, apple tree is older or has more history than say orange tree, and then in that case we able to sort them. And in that extremely case, we could say it is ordinal case, but that's a very extreme case. But in general, we just think it's not orderable. So in general, we just think it's nominal data. So for age, I guess most of them believe it's either ordinal or racial. Yeah, I didn't expect that there's so many different answers actually. I would personally agree with the ratio, but it's really actually depends on the definition you have. So for me, I think it's possible to have like 1.2 age, because 1.2 years old, because that basically means like a year and a couple of months. So basically, I believe that there's definitely an interval between them. So for example, can you say I am 5 years older than you? And if yes, then I believe that should be that should be racial. But of course, some people say that if we just want to treat it like in some system, we can only enter the code like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then in that case, yeah, we can say it's ordinal. So I guess age is a very special situation that it really depends on your definition. Like what do you want to measure? So there's a question coming that, what do you mean by data being countable? So by countable, I mean whether you can say this data has countable number of countable number of types. For example, for colors, there are only 3 types, either green. So in our discussion, our color only have 3 types, only have yellow, blue, and red, right? So these types is basically countable. So that's why for ages, I believe it's uncountable, because it's really hard to classify the ages into several types. right? So yeah, if you acknowledge that H has a lot of types, then yeah, in that case, you can treat it as ordinal. So it's really subjective measure, but we just take it in general. All right. I hope this one won't have any disagreement. So what about the marital satisfaction survey? Like we are doing a survey, like 5 is most satisfied and 1 is not satisfied at all. And we have several scale in between. Yeah, I guess most people get it right. So it is the ordinal data, but some people believe that. Let me see. I just see a different answer. Some people think it is 1. Well, in this case, because the only question that you need to ask is that whether the different type could be compared, could be, say, 1 is higher or bigger or something like that. So for example, in the marital satisfaction, so very satisfied and neutral and not satisfied at all, we can see that the very satisfied is more satisfied than neutral, and which is more satisfied than non-satisfied at all. So in that case, we can do comparison. So that's why we should regard the marital satisfaction as the ordinal data. I guess most people get it right. So okay, just a final one, the job status. So the job status will be occupied, unoccupied, and yeah, just these two. What are they? Yeah, I see most students choose 2. Yeah, exactly. So I guess you already are starting to get sense of what a type of data looks like. So basically, what we trying to look at is just asking the 2 questions, like, is it countable? It is, because we only have 2 types, and it is sortable. It does not make sense to compare like occupied and then not occupied. So in this case, we won't treat it as sortable. So in this case, it should be ordinal data. So I believe in the assessment, probably in the midterm or in the final, I'm sure there is a question asking you, if I give you a type of data, what type of data it belongs to. So I guess everybody handled it pretty well in the last example. So yeah, so this is the example how we do vote, but in the future classes, I'm not going to use the group chat, but I will use the iClicker. So that's even easier to show the general population, right? Because that's from statistical thinking. I want to show you the general population. So that's easier to show you in that fashion. So I guess that's pretty much today's lecture. And so if you have any question about what we have today, just feel free to book appointment to me between the 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Monday. And also just feel free to post your question on the forum. And also remember that we have 3 different actions that we wish you to accomplish. All right, I guess that's the end of the class. And if you have any other question, you feel free to ask in the group chat, and I will stay here for a while, and you can log out right now. But if you have question, you can just type in the group chat. Let me see. So question about no practice question. I will post the practice question later, probably in the evening today. Go through the types of data, right? So I guess all you need to remember is just to these trees. So basically, just ask two questions, like, is it countable? By countable, I mean like whether you're able to count there are different types or categories in your data set, just like your like the tree species, whether you can give each species a name. Otherwise, if you can't give a name, then it probably not countable. For example, for the iron concentration, can you give a name for like 35% iron concentration? No, right? So if you can give a name to something, for example, for the color, I say this is red color, blue color, then it is mostly like to be countable. And could you explain again about the true zero? Sure, yeah. So I guess to understand the true zero, the best way is to compare these two examples. So the temperature as well as the height. So height, the zero height means there's nothing, right? It's zero and we don't observe anything. So it do contain a specific meaning. And we know when I say M zero height, you know what I mean. So for temperature, if I say it's 0 degree, then you might ask the question, do you mean the Celsius measure or the F measure? So there's no exactly answer for that. And there could be different ways to define your zero. So in that case, we would say that there is no true zero because every number could be zero if you just define like that way. Does that make sense to you? Can you go through the sortable? Okay, sortable. I guess the sortable is like this doing this survey. The most important thing in sortable is that can you do comparison? For example, for color, can you compare red and say red and blue? But of course, in some scenario you can, but in that case, it can be regarded as some other type of data. So it depends on whether you can compare two things. And if you believe it is not comparable, then it should be not sortable. Like for the most straightforward, so for the color example, it's not that straightforward, but for the happiness survey, I believe it is very straightforward that we can say that these two categories, they are comparable because that is apparently more unhappiness than this category. So they are comparable. Yes, I will put the slides on all. Will practice question be posted in the textbook really important? No, that's not necessary because I will, when I design the question for the assessment, I will only depends on the materials that I posted online. Is there a synchronous lecture this week? So that lecture is just watching the video of setting up your iClicker account. Does sortable just means able to put it in an order? That's correct. Your understanding is correct. go back to the interval slide. Yes, for the interval, it's like we can say like we can order those degrees because, for example, give you a temperature, give you two temperatures. Can you compare them? You can, right? You can say Toronto is hotter than say Waterloo. So in that case, it is comparable. So it do have we say it's orderable. And can it be counted? Because there's infinitely many ways to measure or to say the numbers, so it cannot be counted. And also the distance is also matters because we can say that Toronto is 10 degrees hotter than say Waterloo. So the difference of two temperatures contains a specific meaning. More interval data. I guess there's not many examples of the interval. I guess temperature is the one that just popped up my mind. If I give you another example, because for many of the case, because many of the data, they are ratio data because we do have a specific meaning for zero. Is there any other? I'll think about it maybe because interval data is the only thing pop up to my mind right now. Great percentage marks. I believe it's more like a ratio than interval because we do have a specific zero meaning, right? Like 0 grade means you just didn't do anything. So I think that's the specific meaning for that. Will you post these slides? Yes, I will post this right after the lecture. 0 degree is not a true zero because there's a lot of ways to define your zero. So for example, if it is 0 degree in Celsius, but it is 0 degree in the F, is it 0 in F measure as well? It is actually 20 or 40, between 20 and 40 in the F measure. So this 0, that means that this 0 is what we defined. Hi, clicker, give me. Oh, we just forget about the trial. So Western buy the license for that app, so you don't just forget about that. It won't expire, so no worries about that. As long as you are using your Western account to register that, then it won't expire. Yeah, thanks for Lauren. These are very nice examples for the interval measure, like credit score, right? So there's no 0 for this credit score. Doesn't temperature have an absolute 0 Bells cm per meter? So my point is that our definition of the 0 here is very subjective. This is defined by our human beings, right? Unlike your height, 0 is 0. You just 0 means nothing, right? But for temperature, does 0 means nothing? So it's a very subjectively defined measure. So in that case, like you could have, so in temperature, you have 2 different ways to define your 0. So it's not like saying like whether 0 is absolutely 0 there or not. It's just like whether you define it in a subjective way or in an objective way. Do I need to use my student number for the username? I believe you need to use the your username of your email account as your username. Do we have a video quiz this week? Yes, our video quiz is exactly the survey of whether you have done the iClicker. So you can find that from let me show you. It's over here. So explanatory survey. So you can do it. You can watch it on O. So some student ask if we made it so the average height is 0 in some strange scale, it would be interval. Yeah, I think that's a very nice example of you transform ratio data into interval data. For pH, I don't think it has a absolute 0 because what does the 0 pH mean? I don't think it has a specific meaning. Thank you. So I guess we will stop here, and thank you so much for taking the lesson, and I will see you next week.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Bye.